All right, welcome back, everybody. Got another review here. This is an old school review, kind of like the Night Stalker, only this is probably one of my oldest reviews, one of my old figures that have been sitting on the shelf the longest. I always meant to get around to them, but I have had a Panthor in case I needed one, the non-flocked one. And I think I might have bought the non-flocked, and then this is right when I first started getting in. I didn't even know the flocked one existed. So I blew it off, didn't get it, and then as you can see in the top left corner, this is a $40 figure. I think that might be the main reason why I got it, because I'm just like, I don't want to spend $40 on a Panthor when I already have the other one. But, and I've been very uninspired by it. It's been sitting in its box for how long? I wonder if there's even a date on that. I think it's February of 23. So that's coming up on 2 years that I found this thing on clearance. That's how long I've had it. And it says new for 21. So next year it'll be 4 years that this flocked Panthor came out. And like I said, it's been sitting on my shelf since I got it for almost 2 years now. And I just haven't really cared that much to get it out. The shelf that it's been sitting on, which is kind of my to-do shelf that's had a lot of figures on it for a long time. As soon as I looked at it, I brought back a lot of memories. And on that shelf, I was saying, at the very top, I have my original Skeletor in Panthor from when I was a kid. And obviously I'm a huge Motu fan. I barely remember the cartoon, but I watched the cartoon as much as I possibly could when I was a kid. And the first actual He-Man figure I got was this battle damage Skeletor with Panthor. And I think they came together. I'm like 99% sure they came together when I got them. I just vaguely remember getting them at Christmas one year and being absolutely in love with them, and just being so happy that I finally got a Skeletor. I wanted it back then. I wanted the original looking Skeletor, but I was happy to get the battle damage Skeletor as a second place. But obviously, I played with these figures like a lot. Like obviously Skeletor has got to be in every situation. So for as much as I've crapped on the body of the new Battle Cat and the new this Panthor body mold, for as much as it bothers me that they didn't give us pivoting wrists at the very least, it's still pretty awesome to get them when I start thinking back to my childhood and having Panthor and this battle damage Skeletor. So anyways, finally getting them out. I actually wasn't going to even do them, Geldor came in and I thought about doing Geldor first. But I still have this set up from the Night Stalker video. You should go back and watch that. The very last few shots actually will lead into the shots we're doing for this video. I'm just going to do a series of videos, and I think I'm going to repost it on my channel with the pictures I take, because it tells a story. And I've had this story in my head for a very long time. It's near and dear to me. Maybe that's why the idea of the story is near and dear to me. But it's kind of like a boy and his dog story, except for it's a Lord of Destruction and his cat, not a boy and his dog. But anyways, just glad I'm finally doing it. I can finally get this off my to-do shelf, and finally get him on the display shelf. So let's take a look at the back of the box before I open them up. Nothing too crazy with the art back there. It's just battle damage He-Man and Battle Cat. My brother had that, and then we see Man at Arms there and Skeletor, battle damage Skeletor and Panthor himself. But look at Panthor's wrists and Battle Cat's wrists. Can't pull this figure like that. I guess it beats the original solid mold Panthor versus this thing that he can at least bend in a few places. But anyways, let's get him out of the package and take a closer look at him. So, initially, taking him out of the package, I thought there's not going to be much to talk about, but just a few things. The front of the legs where the hinge is, because it can't be flocked, it just kind of sticks out just a little bit more than you'd expect. But, for not being as excited as I was about this figure, and as much as I don't like Battle Cat, and that I actually did a video, if you guys haven't seen it, called The Absolute Worst Masters of the Universe Origins figure, and it's all about Battle Cat and how much I hate that figure. I really hope the animated version, the cartoon filmation version, they redo Battle Cat, just because the Origins one with it's all it is a wrist. I mean, there can be more articulation to the figure, but why they didn't put any kind of hinge on those wrists just kind of ruins a character for any kind of exciting posing. You know, those paws are always down, like on the box, you know, if you lifted those legs up. But anyway, like, the one thing I will say is that flock looks like a million times better than the non-flocked figure. You know, being an animal covered in hair, he just looks so much better with the flocking on him. I'm glad that they actually did that for as much crap as I give this figure. So, but anyways, as I said, I started a picture on the Night Stalker video you guys should check out at the very end. That's going to lead into this figure, and we're just going to do just some pictures of Skeletor and Panthor. So let's go to that. So our first picture, actually, just to back it up and go about the last picture. The last picture was, like, when I did the Night Stalker video, it was Skeletor riding Night Stalker into the woods, and then he gets off into the jungle, and then he gets off. Night Stalker kind of pets him and then walks off into some brush. And this is picking up, you know, Skeletor's off in this jungle by himself. What is he looking for? And you can just barely see in the background we have, you know, a Panthor back there. And I'll get to the point of what exactly is going on pretty soon. But this is the first picture. I actually really like how this picture turned out. I wasn't exactly the wildest on a couple of those Night Stalker pictures, but this series that we're doing right now is going to turn out really well. I really like it. So let's go on to the next picture. So here's our next shot. So Panthor is jumping out of the woods, out of the jungle, and attacking Skeletor. I've turned over the battle damage on his chest, just throwing a little extra something in there. And so basically, just to tell you the whole story, you know, at one point in time, I don't know the original origin story of Panthor. If he got him, if Skeletor got him when he was Skeletor, or else when he was Keldor. But in this story, it's basically Skeletor becomes, or Keldor becomes Skeletor, and he has to go find, you know, Panthor. He goes off in the woods to find Panthor in the jungle, and Panthor doesn't recognize him at first and attacks him just because he doesn't know who he is. And then basically our next shot will be the two of them, him figuring out who he is and stuff. So it's going to be, I think the next shot's going to be a paneled shot. But yeah, basically Panthor leaping out of the jungle and Skeletor taking a hit to the chest. All right, so next shot, we have him coming like face to face with, you know, Panthor, wide open mouth, ready to rip him apart, and Skeletor just kind of putting out his hand so Panthor can smell him, and basically, you know, giving him a chance to figure out who he is, even though he doesn't look like Keldor anymore. So we're going to do one more shot, I think, of Skeletor and then Panthor just kind of smelling his hand. Let's do that picture real quick. All right, so here's our picture of Panthor just kind of having a flashback and thinking about Keldor after he smells Skeletor's hand and realizes that's actually Keldor, and that he's happy to see him, you know, just kind of bringing things back to or just realizing who he is. So, you know, I've like I said, I've had this idea for quite a while. I've wanted to break him out of his box and do it, and I'm glad I finally am. So, yeah, great to see these two together. Yeah, and getting Keldor back in front of the camera. It's been quite a while. So, anyways, let's go on to the next picture. All right, so I haven't done the video yet, but I should have done a little bit of movie magic there. Just did a previous shot of Keldor and Panthor, just a flashback to them. But this picture right here is him really, Panthor finally being like, oh my gosh, it's you, and Skeletor just kind of comforting him and letting him know, hey, it is me. I'm back, I'm not gone, and Panthor just being happy that he's there. So, uh, very touching story. These two got separated during, the great rebellion of trying to take down King Randor or whatever. And Skeletor got cast away, he got his face melted off, bonded with Demo Man or whatever, story you want to go with, but he's made his way back to Panthor, and they're finally together again. I had a dog for 17 years. My dog almost lived. His name is Marvel. His name's Marvel. Marv for short. And he passed away back in August. And it's one of the worst things I've ever dealt with, just because the two of us were so bonded. We were, I went through a lot with him. I had him for 17 years, and I went through. I remember the day I picked him up, and I was married for a while with him. I was with my ex-wife for 7 years. And he was my dog, and I did a lot with him. And then I went through a divorce 9 years ago. And it was like the lowest point in my life. It really sucked. I have two kids, and those two kids that I love being around. They were out of my life for 50% of the time. I had it way luckier than most guys do, but still I lost my kids 50% of the time, and it's really hard to deal with being alone for a lot of your adult life, and then being married with children for years, and then being on your own again. It was pretty horrific, actually, and the fact that I had this dog with me through all of it was great. Him and I, the first thing we did is we went to the Boundary Waters in like the middle of October. It was like 20 degrees in the morning. It was so cold, but the two of us, just like that freedom of getting out and doing whatever we want to. It was like our first big trip that we did together. And then, going through the divorce and everything, and it's just the only thing I had like all the time. And then a year and a half later, I had a heart attack, and a pretty severe heart attack. And again, I'm alone, and you really face mortality and stuff, and the fact that dog was there with me for all of it. I really glad he was there. And we did a lot of camping, a lot of hiking. And like I see how other people treat their animals, and they treat them pretty good. But I like to think that I gave my dog a better life than most dogs live, because the two of us hiked something like we hiked about an average of 300 miles a year. So he's been all over Minnesota. He's been all over the Black Hills in South Dakota. And we've just been on some amazing adventures together. And I just, that bond of dog and I hate the word owner, but master. I don't like dog dad or any of that garbage either. But he was a best friend. That's the name. That's the title that he earned, was man's best friend. And like, again, I lost him last August. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these paneled pictures together of Skeletor reuniting with him, and I think I'm going to dedicate it to Marv. Maybe show a picture of him later on, because it's just so hard to be without him. That was August, and everybody keeps thinking that I'm going to get a dog right away, and I'm not. I'm going to give myself a year to move past him. He means just not having that clicking around the house. The last 3 years, he went blind and had a lot of problems, and he went on for a long time. But having him, a lot of my life is just taking care of him and getting him to last long. I probably let him live longer, way longer, had him alive. He lived way longer than I probably should have let him. But, if I can carry him everywhere, and he seems happy, and he still loves company. He still ate a lot of food, still loved food, and he still enjoyed the company of me and my kids. So I could never put him down. And I really miss him. It's horrible. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to put the story of these two together and do a video of it and just kind of dedicate it to Marv. So, anyways, that'll do it, guys. Let's hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the description of this video for my Instagram, Facebook pages. Check out some other, playlists, whatever. There's a lot of good stuff there. Otherwise, guys, we'll see you at the next video. Bye now.